What are the 5 golden rules when it comes to doing Pilates when you've got a bad back? We all know that Pilates is good for us, and there's loads of evidence around the ways that Pilates can really help support lower backs and build core stability long term to help support our backs. I've got loads of people in my classes for whom Pilates really is a godsend when it comes to helping them manage back pain long term. But what if you have hurt your back? Perhaps you're a regular exerciser, you regularly attend your Pilates classes, but you've had a holiday or an injury and you're really struggling with back pain. How can you keep doing your Pilates classes, or should you even be doing your Pilates classes? And what are the rules to stick by to make sure you get the most out of your class without making your back worse? The first thing you need to know is the difference between acute back pain and chronic. So acute is when you've just hurt it, perhaps your back is spasming and it's really affecting your daily life. You're on lots of anti-inflammatories or painkillers. You can't crack on with your life as normal. Maybe you're struggling to sleep. Whereas chronic is something that goes on for a long period of time. Perhaps it's something that has been acute and is now being managed. I would always say to people that it's not a great idea to try Pilates when you are in the acute stage of a back injury. And this is particularly true if you are new to Pilates. So I wouldn't recommend going and trying a Pilates class when your back is really causing you bother. So when it's spasming and when even walking is starting to cause you pain. But let's say that your back is feeling a little better, you want to get to your Pilates class. How can you make sure that your Pilates is effective and doesn't make your back worse? Well, the most important thing here is to move within a pain-free range. And that would be the same for any injury. Do your Pilates and make sure you stay in a range that feels comfortable for you, doesn't make the pain worse or trigger any spasming. But sometimes that means reducing the range of movement, sometimes that means adding some props or just adapting an exercise. Now, the next thing that's really important is to focus on mobility rather than necessarily focusing on making the exercises harder. Pilates incorporates core strength and conditioning, as well as some mobility and stretching. And I would say it's really important to focus, once you've warmed up, on mobilizing your spine. And we would particularly look at mobilizing the joints around the joint that's causing you bother. So perhaps you've got pain around the lower back, around the hips. You'd think about mobilizing the mid-back and the hips and pelvis and perhaps even the knees. That is a great rule of thumb to go by for all sorts of injuries. So always thinking about mobilizing the joints that surround the one that's causing you bother, because the last thing you want to do is end up feeling kind of crooked and wonky in other parts of your body just because you've got a stiff back. One of the other things that Pilates is brilliant for is creating heat and warmth and circulation around a joint. And this is something that's really important when it comes to your back. So what could you do to increase the blood flow around the spine or around the area of your back or your body that's causing you bother? So things like when you do your core exercises and you're really trying to feel the tummy muscles are working, things that you can do to just start to increase that blood flow around the joint, because that's going to help speed up the healing process. And then last, it's absolutely fine to adapt an exercise. So you might find that you need to use a prop or pop a cushion under your bottom. That's really helpful for some of my clients with lower back issues. Perhaps you could use a band to help with something like the roll up. Perhaps you could use a ball between your thighs to help stabilize the spine, to help stabilize the hips when you're coming into a shoulder bridge. So knowing which props might help, talking to your Pilates teacher so that they can help you out. And then hopefully you'll find that your Pilates class is going to benefit your back rather than making you feel worse. So in summary, know whether it's acute or whether it's chronic. Think about a pain-free range of movement. Focus on mobility and also on creating blood flow and circulation around the joint that's causing you a problem. And last of all, just talk to your Pilates instructor about ways that you can adapt an exercise to make it work better for you.